You're right, I did come to your house. I think that there was music practice for children.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see,
yes.
your brain's working.
Well, but you picked it up first. I'm miles behind you.
Yeah.
Were you born on the island?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Except for the 5 years of,
Oh,
yeah.
evacuation.
Mm.
Yeah.
But before you went away, you went to private school here, didn't you?
Oh, to the convent. The mother paid 6p a week.
Did Vida go there as well, Hon?
I don't know why, because there was nothing wrong with the town school.
No. Well, there are a lot of nuns there.
Well, we had a few.
Yeah, they were the teachers.
Mm.
They didn't have any other teachers other than nuns.
And I think in the island hall now there's still apple trees, because the nuns used to sell apples and that. And I got a funny feeling it could be.
There is, and there's a walnut tree as well.
I remember apples, the nuns selling them. It makes you feel old, eh? I can remember though, before we left, when you looked across to France, there was a lot of smoke, you know, with all the gunfires.
Oh, crikey, yeah.
And you could hear the guns as well. And then little boats used to come in the harbour with people who were escaping from France. We used to go down there, little kiddies with their parents on these little boats, all coming into the harbour. So they wanted to get out. They knew what was coming, I think.
Yes. Mm.
You know, because he was old Hitler was coming through Poland first, didn't he? And then he gradually came, and of course we were the next ones in the line, weren't we? Before England. And it was only the Channel that stopped them getting into England.
Yeah.
Just that little strip of water saved England, so they should be grateful for that water.
Yes, yeah.
My parents, it must have been awful for them to leave their home. You know, I was only a child, and of course it was fun, wasn't it, going on the boat? So, you know, it was my poor parents were the ones that suffered, not me. And I'm still here. People left here and they were all taken up to Glasgow. And a lot of people, if they had relatives anywhere in England, obviously they went there. Vida and I first went, somebody took us in as children. But when my mum and dad come, they got a house and we were, you know, all together. Really lucky because my father had a weak heart or a bad heart, so he couldn't go into the forces. My granddad was too old to fight, and we were too young, so the war really didn't affect us, Paula.
You stayed together.
You know, we didn't lose anybody like some lost their sons, and you know, we were really lucky. Yeah, there was, I don't know if there was one or two families couldn't take it. They went back to where they came, you know, where they were living for 5 years. They couldn't sort of, face what, you know, what we had to do, but we enjoyed it. Yeah, well, they were all there, and when we first came out, there was only one shop down the bottom, Mr. Parmentier, till people had issued other shops, but when we first came out, there was only one place where you could get your food. Well, it was all different with all like the bunkers and barbed wire everywhere. Wherever you went, you had to be careful, you know, because you could tear your clothes if you wanted to go across a field. I remember going up the Jiffone, up there with, you know, the round ones, I remember going down. Well, it was all open, nothing was fenced off or anything, or you couldn't say you couldn't go anywhere. You were just free. We went everywhere on a bike. We all used to bike out to Corbett's and have a good old swim out there and bike back. Because don't forget, the only car that was on the island was Simo. You had a car and you had to use it as you did use it as a taxi. And then, of course, gradually other people got cars, but at first there was only him. There was no cars. And we had a bus, and that used to go out to the bays and beaches. And, you know, where the Coronation shop is, that
Yeah.
used to be a bakery there.
Yeah.
My mother used to take it in, go to the army, come out the army, go down, pick the dinner up and go home. They'd all be there. And it's funny that you all knew your own dishes, you know.
Yeah.
You,
Maybe that
you
was-
never went home with somebody else's roast.
But why was that? Because they had a big oven? Or
Yeah,
something?
well, the bakery where they used to do the bread,
Okay.
you see.
Mm.
And he had this big, not shovel, flat thing with a long handle.
Mm.
So he used to push all the dishes of, you know, people's Sunday dinner. Yeah, you never cooked a Sunday roast. It was all done for you.
It's a different meaning to take away, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And of course, rice pudding as well.
Oh, okay.
You
And a
always had
dessert.
the pudding was always rice pudding, yeah. Because that takes a little while
Yeah, it
to
takes
cook,
long
you
as
see.
well, yeah.
So
Mm.
Yeah.
while the dinner was cooking, so your rice pudding was cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fun, wasn't it? And my mother always used to put in the corner of her baking tin, like flour and like a doughboy.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
what you
Yeah,
know?
it is a doughboy, yeah.
Yeah, but all in one, big lot, always in the corner of the, and I reckon it was to fill us up. That helped, you know,
Mm.
Yeah.
because I mean, my parents had no money, not in them days.
I don't think that ever happened, ever worried anybody here though. I found that growing up here.
Yeah.
It didn't matter that no one had anything.
Obviously, the island changes. And so by comparison now, it must seem quite busy.
Well, we don't rush to go anywhere, do we?
No.
I mean, if
That's
we don't do
lovely.
something today, well, we'll do it tomorrow, eh?
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've never rushed and I don't intend to. Well, I've got a book with photos of me, my sister and me, outside the house by the town clock, the first house by the Rose and Crown going that way. And we used to have to clean the roads because there wasn't the cars to keep them down,
Mhm.
you know. And we were out there, we had a little hook and we used to go in between the cobbles and get all the, and
Oh
I've got
no! Oh my
photographs.
goodness!
Now, where's that book?
It's up Little Street. I'll have to find it. I'll have to get
Yeah,
Richard to
you
take
have to
some
see it
photos.
because you'd,
Oh, I'd love
you'd
to
be
see it.
interested,
Mm.
wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we were in the middle of the road.
Not just Hira and her sister. Everybody did it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Everybody did it.
So you're
All-
picking
you
out
did
the
your-
weeds and
Yeah,
things.
You
Yeah.
did your part, you know, because my
Right.
mother's was a double-fronted house, so therefore we had a bigger, didn't we? So we had to, up to the middle, we had to keep all that clean and the next person kept
Mm.
theirs. It was only because there wasn't the amount of vehicles to keep it down. Same as the pavement up where I lived, there was a lot of cracks,
Mhm.
so the weeds used to come. And there I'd be out there with my kettle of hot water, and people would look at me, what am I doing? But it kept the street cleaner, didn't it,
Yeah,
Pauline?
yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew does it with weed killer now.
Oh, it's funny what Alderney used to be, eh?
Mm.
I used to knit scarves,
Yeah.
and the wool was like the uniforms, khaki colour, awful colour. But I was only 9 and that was my effort to the wool. I used to knit this and I used to think, well, somebody's going to keep nice and warm.
And
Yeah.
here we are, how many years later, and I was making hats for the Ukrainian refugees.
Oh,
So
crikey.
some things never change.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, they're all ready for you, Paul.
Yeah,
to
they're all ready
take, isn't it?
all ready to be posted, yeah.
You look at the corner there.
Oh, crikey. Yeah.
See? If I get through that lot, I'll do it. See, I'm doing this one. And that's getting big.
Again, this will be sent to charity. I
I'm
want to make blankets
making
for
this
charity.
one now.
Make them so big and then send them off to. We've sent some to the Premature Baby Foundation, and some have gone to the Ukraine refugees.
Mm.
So yeah, I was still doing a bit for charity. Aren't
Yeah.
I?
Oh, that's fantastic.
As she was a refugee herself, eh, Hon?
Yeah.
But did you say you were knitting from 9 years old?
No,
Scarves?
And funnily enough, my mother wasn't a knitter. She liked a sewing machine. She learnt dress. There used to be dressmaking in them days. She did her trade down in Guernsey as a dressmaker. But I never took to material because you couldn't pull it. And I like this because it gives, you see. So I didn't get that from her. Don't know where that came from. But it passes my time. I'd go mad if I didn't have something to do. I remember Don and Peter's socks with a mushroom,
Yeah.
you know, a wooden thing. Used to put in the sock and go, you know, around like that and then mend it. Wouldn't do that today. You've got a hole, you throw it away.
Alderney's always had jumble sales, hasn't it? As far back as I can remember, well, sort of, I can go back 50 years of worth of jumble sales, and Hira always made cakes. But again, it's the Alderney spirit, isn't it? It was always for charity, and Hira always made cakes. And again, you still made cakes up until you went into the hospital for the Salvation Army, didn't you? Every week for the coffee morning. But you made a cake every week, I know, for any jumble, Hira or any voluntary thing. People don't realise that, you know, that
Yeah, but then you do stuff. You don't go around spouting what you do, do you? You just get on with it and do it. Hey, people might never know what you do.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's the Alderney spirit again, though, isn't it? All the time.
Just have to hope, Paula, that it don't change too much at all.
That's right. Yeah.
Because things do change, don't they? You can't live in the past all the time, can you?
No.
All down Platt's Lean, Ray, and that, you know, all what I would call fields is all houses now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So there couldn't have been many of us here, though, Paula, when you think what houses have been built since.
Yeah.
Take all those away,
Yeah.
what's left?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Not many. And we used to be called townies. If you lived in uptown, not out Whitegates, you were a townie. All silly little things, you know.
That's it. Yeah. But wasn't there the new townies as well?
Well, I don't know, but we were called the townies. And my mother said, don't you go down Newtown, because she reckoned down there was a rough place. On a Sunday there used to be men lying in the street drunk. Don't you go down to Newtown. Oh, that was a forbidden area.
Now we wouldn't think anything of it, would we? Just go to Blanchard's and not even think
Yes.
about it.
Yeah.
Were there many pubs before? Can you remember, Were there many pubs on the island?
I think they were the same amount, like the Rose and Crown and the Murray Hall and all those.
Coronation and the camp.
Could you have envisaged yourself growing up anywhere else? Because you went to England and you came back here.
Didn't make any difference.
This is your home completely. Yeah.
And all the 5 years, that's all my parents talked about, is the day when we return. You know, there wasn't a day gone by, I don't think, which they miss saying, you know, when we get back home. It's home, love.
Grandad was always very helpful, though, didn't he? Make toys and things for people.
Oh, yeah.
He kept really busy, didn't he? He was.
I don't know how he did it now, but he used to carve horses out just a bit of wood. And of course where we lived they had carts and horses. They used to go around delivering milk, the farmers. So he made one and it was lovely. I don't know what he did with it, but I remember him making it. And he also made a money box for somebody who had 3 children, and it was in apartments. It was one box, but each had their own. And that woman showed us it.
She brought it over, didn't she? Yeah, actually they kept it.
After all those years, she kept it.
Kept it a lot of years.
And she said, your dad made that.
Yeah.
I think today people expect too much, though, myself.
Yeah, I think
they don't seem to be happy with what they got. They always want more. That's my feeling.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
You didn't sort of expect anything though. That was your way of life, an island life. You couldn't expect to live like somebody who lived in a town.
that's right. Yeah.
You know, you accepted what you got. And even today, I've never wanted anything or, you know, saying, oh, I'd like to have that because so-and-so, that don't bother me.
No.
I think as long as you got your health,
Yeah,
what more do you want?
that's right.
Well, I wouldn't change my life for anything else, though. But we only hope, Paula, that there'll be no more upsets, that we can enjoy the rest of our life.
That's exactly right. Yeah, yeah.
We don't want any more troubles, do we?
Don't want it ever happen again, do you? Not ever to be evacuated again. I think this is why you've always got such sympathy for these people who are, you know.
But we know what it's like because
Yeah.
we've been through it ourselves.
Yeah.
Leaving your home.
Yeah.
The only thing that I remember, I know my mum and dad went and I had a little push chair and I couldn't take it with me. And that's the only thing I can remember, leaving my push chair behind. Thing is, life goes on, doesn't it? And you've got to make the best of what you got. And I don't ever envy anybody with what they got.
No.
I'm quite happy with my lot. That's what Peter always says, you either like it or you don't.
Yeah.
There's no in between, he says.
I think it would be lovely to talk to you again. And you mentioned photographs as well.
Yeah, well,
And it would be lovely to be able to
Well, you
look at some
know
of
where
those
they
and
Yeah, I know the photos are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
get together again.
and those were taken in 1930.
Are you on about the ones your cousin in the
Yeah.
album? Yeah.
Was 1930 what?
I think it was 19. I want to say
38.
yeah, it was 38 or 39. They came on holiday and they made a photo album. So it's black paper with white writing and
Oh,
photos
yes, yeah.
of,
Yeah, we used to have some of
of
those. Yeah.
Hira. It's where it's their holiday photos, but it's got all
They
Hira's
put it
family in.
into an album, you know, because
Yeah.
they were living in London.
Mm.
So it was a different, and going down the Watermill farm, you know, with the animals,
Yeah.
that was so much different to what they had.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll have to have a look at that.
I'd love to. I really appreciate that. Okay, yeah, Hira, Paula, thank you so much. That's really lovely. Thanks for sharing your feelings, your memories, your reflections, and so on.
As long as you enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, that's fantastic.
It's a
It's
boring
lovely.
afternoon.
Well, I feel